At this point, anyone who wants to offer comments regarding the subject case, please submit a complete form located on the table by the entrance doors. The forms must have name, address, and date. Whether you want to testify in support of, opposed to, or all neutral. Anyone planning to speak must do so at the podium so your remarks can be heard. In the recording system, all questions and comments will be directed to the commission, not the applicant. The applicant will have the opportunity to answer questions and offer rebuttal after all public testimony is completed, and on that, no new evidence, just simply rebuttal, please. All speakers will need to state their name and address for the record. We said that already. I will call those first supporting the apps, then those uncommitted, and finally those opposed. And so far, we have 2 requests. Does anybody else in the audience want to submit a request? Okay, so no one commenting. So the first one we have up.
What about online? Is there anyone online?
I apologize, thank you. Anyone online that wishes to offer comment? Okay, I'm not hearing anything. First person we have is Pierce Clegg, who is neutral.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Pierce Clegg. I live at North 15206 Pinewood Way in Hayden. I am a property owner who adjoins this property. Right, this is my parcel property here, one of them. I'm sorry I had an emergency, so I did not bring my pamphlet. The pamphlet is about that big since the inception of Hayden Canyon. It's changed hands many times. I spoke at 3 different times. I know we're down here tonight talking about development off of Lancaster and Everett Way. However, through this presentation, we back and forth, so I have a couple of questions I'd like to ask. Will all the properties be hooked to sewer? Or will they be 5 acre, or will they all be hooked to sewer?
So the applicant may respond to that, but I thought I heard that this was all going to the sewer.
Okay, the reason I asked, I have 3 things I want to bring up. The reason I asked is about 2 months ago, I had a gentleman approach me, wanted to know if I'd give him easement on the north end, and he said he was going to build out on the point, and I said, well, that's Hayden Canyon. He said, for disclosure, I'm Hayden Canyon, I'm part of Hayden Canyon, I want to build my home, I live in Portland, you can understand why I'm moving out here. I said, no, I can't. And I wasn't going to apply with him, and he didn't get an easement, end of story. The second thing, and this is the one that's bothered me the most, and I'm kind of concerned that the city might be getting into something. What do we call stormwater and stormwater runoff? Is that the snow removal and that trickles down or a good rainstorm? The reason I ask this, and I spoke at 3 different public meetings being told we have a lake that's going to hold it, or we have you're at the wrong meeting, or put on hold, talk to us later. Right here on the, where I'm pointing, Alpine Lake comes to that point, comes across my property and discharges down to Hayden Canyon. It also merges with another creek, I don't know the name of it, starts up for the older members up where the Aryan Nation was, builds a pretty good head of steam where it comes down. These 2 converge, and it's only for about 3 to 4 weeks during the spring runoff. I've invited members, Mr. Gordon's group, or people who claim to be with housing, to come out personally inspect it. It'll be over 3.5 feet high by 26 to 30 feet wide. That is a lot of stormwater, and I don't know if the city is fully aware of that, what you're getting into, or Mr. Gordon. Ladies and gentlemen, that is an aquifer charge area. I didn't have standing until about 3 years ago when they put me in the aquifer area, and now I'm taxed on that. I do have to say so, and you should too, because there's a lot of water coming down there. I see that we're not going to fence around waters. I want to know what you or your group is going to do about this water. Now, how do I know it's an aquifer storm area? I don't, except I can tell you some people who, in the early days when we rode horse across there, the horses would go up their canals. Up on the north end, the Chesapeake property is very loamy in that area. So we have this tremendous amount of water, plus the streams, as hot as it was, they're not, have just started to dry up probably in the last 3 weeks. There was a trickle, not a lot, but a trickle, not enough to worry about. But I think the staff needs to be fully aware, and that's why I wanna get on record as what we're dealing with here. Are we thinking of just a little ditch, a little gutter, or are we talking about a major amount of stormwater? I would like to thank Mr. Gordon and his group. They approached us 2 or 3 years ago, the Northern Lakes Fire District, tell us what they're gonna do. And they talked about, that was before the lakes had put that, changed Lancaster. And they were gonna have an entrance into the development from there. And I posed it, I said, what are you gonna do about speed? We're trying to move a fire truck or a school bus, and bless his heart, he said, I don't know if it's you, Mr. Gordon, he said, oh, you call the sheriff office and they'll slow it down. So I took off my other hat as an ex-sheriff and said, we have 3 to 4 subdivisions per month, and poor planning is putting a burden on the taxpayers of Cooney County. So I thank you for taking those their entrances, exits off that. However, you brought one of the questions about the crosswalks and the stop signs. There have already been some fatals out there where people look at the stop sign out on 95 and they go right through that stop sign. It's something to consider. I know you say it's gonna be marked for pedestrians, but people are people and they wanna get home in a hurry, and we do have to deal with snow and ice in this area. So anyhow, I won't labor you, but again, I thank you for your efforts and your time. One quick thing I'd like to throw out, Mr. Bemis, were you in construction? Okay, the only reason I did is I had a Mr. Bemis, I'm sorry, don't remember, too many years ago, put in a culvert right there to hold that water. It's 42 inches. I thought it'd be more enough to hold it. It goes right up and over the top of it. It still stands today. You did an excellent job. When I saw it, I thought I'd better get that out for disclosure too. So.
I was about to say, I'm glad I'm not connected.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Any questions?
Oh, any
No,
questions?
it's very valuable, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the other person we have who is for or against is Sandy White.
I'm neutral.
Hi, my name is Sandy White. I live at 939 West D Court in Hayden. And main thing I'm concerned about is just a project this size and the impact that it'll have on the community of Hayden, the small hometown feel. And so it's not so much this development, but the whole thing with the 1,525 new units. And so just one question I have is, I didn't hear anything in the presentation tonight, maybe I missed it, is about impact fees. So how is this gonna affect our taxes and the futures of the people who already live here? So that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Sandy. Okay, I guess the applicant, you can offer a rebuttal should you choose to.
Sure. Chair?
I'm Jerry Storhaug. I reside at 510, or no, reside, my business is at 510 East 3rd Avenue, Spokane, Washington. And I'm a registered civil engineer in the state of Idaho. I want to talk a little bit about the stormwater and the offsite considerations that are currently being considered and were considered early on when this property was annexed and the PUD was approved. But so yeah, this been noted. This was studied at the time of the PUD approval back in 2013 and was recognized as a pretty large offsite stormwater basin in this area, entering down at really the start of the canyon at this particular location. There was a stormwater plan put together at that point in time, but and I'll summarize it a little bit, I'll be oversimplifying, but for the most part, that water is, the intent is that it will enter into the canyon area there right across your property. As you go down through the canyon, there's kind of a large open meadow area right in this area, right in here. And back in 2013 and most recently, we've been doing some more kind of work in that area, but a lot of that stormwater will be planned to be controlled in this area here. And during those peak times of the year when we might have a lot of runoff, this will fill up with some water in here, and a lot of that will be contained. Then it will also be, a certain amount will be released down into the canyon area. And down in this area here where we reach into some of the more Rathdrum granular soils, we'll be looking at adding some, there'll be some dry well, and we'll be putting it into the ground. And from my understanding, you know, that's kind of what the natural way that the canyon has been functioning, where maybe when you have those, you know, this big storm events, it does come into this area here, although it doesn't get impounded in this area presently, but it comes down into the more flat area of the development, and it naturally soaks in or infiltrates into the ground down in this area in here. We haven't arrived at a final design, so to speak, yet. It'll be something that'll be worked out as we work towards development up in this part of the PUD. You know, tonight we're way down here, and it's kind of, it's not an issue for us on the south side down here. The Lakes Highway District did, when they redid this roadway here, I don't know what that was, 4 or 5 years ago, they did some improvements in here to kind of consider off-site water coming from the north. But we'll be, you know, as this gets developed here to the north, that'll be the time we really take a hard look at it. And in the interim, we are looking at some, we've been asked by Stafford to do some work on it and take a look at that presently, but we haven't concluded, you know, or further refined that work that was done in 2013. So, if commission has any questions of me, hopefully I did a good job describing that for you.
Questions?
No, I appreciate that you guys are aware of it and looking at how that's gonna affect, because when you build, that changes the whole structure of the ground there.
Right.
So what happens now presently won't be happening that way. So I appreciate that you guys are looking forward again toward that and taking care of it before it's a problem for homeowners. Thank you.
When you come into a problem that's gonna be up there possibly with, you know, like, with water and everything else, what are you gonna do with that space? If it's not buildable?
This is part of the, I don't know if we have the open space plan available to us, but this whole corridor here is open
Right.
space.
But
And,
Yeah, that green space, it looked like there was a lake.
there's a major
Yeah.
area that you're looking at up there to build on. If you can't build on it, then what?
No,
There's no
Because that's what I'm asking.
We're gonna
Where do you go from there?
yeah, we're gonna stay out of those areas and try to preserve those natural stormwater patterns. So we won't be in, in those areas, I guess is the short answer. But
Do you think that we could just see your guys' original big plan to answer that question? Because I've seen that with all the sub phases and all that, and I think that would answer what he's asking more so
Yeah.
than looking at
If you
this
can-
blank slate.
Maybe that'd be something
Donna
good
can back it up.
for afterwards, just because tonight we're here to look at that one spot that's way down on the southwest corner.
absolutely right.
Yeah, so let's not get out too far off track. But there was a slide that showed that, we can look at that after.
Okay.
It's the name of the project, Hayden Canyon.
Here, I'm gonna continue up here real quick. Did this, all right, so in this area, we know that that's a canyon, and the intent is to not have any stormwater leave the site, and it goes down into the ground, of course, recharging the aquifer. We think this is a great natural feature that comes through here, and we've been working with Storehog, talking about constructing a couple weirs in here. And the roadway that will eventually go, we call it the East Road, will act as a weir itself to start embanking some water there in the high storm events. But in here, this kind of gets swampy, and I'd prefer to actually have some standing water in it, just from an aesthetics and marketing perspective. But that contains the water as well. So we are looking at, this is high on the radar screen, and this whole area that was referred to is down in the canyon itself. The buildable property are up here on the corners, and there's no way that they're anywhere near the water. I mean, they're probably 60 to 70 feet above the base. So we're very aware of that.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay. And then I wanted, thank you, Jerry, and then I wanted to address some of Sandy's comments about the impact of the project and the impact fees. Well, there's a lot of impact fees, and that's one of the things that one of the things the city has done is be extremely proactive about preparing for growth. And, they just updated the sewer master plan, the parks master plan, the transportation system plan, and this is all forward thinking on the part of the planning commission, city council, and the staff. They've done a phenomenal job. We work with a lot of different jurisdictions, but you start anticipating what's going to happen, and then you're prepared for it, being rather than reactionary, you're being proactive on that. But the impact fees are what help fund the improvements, and every time we build a home and pull permits, we pay impact fees, and we'll continue as developers. We build infrastructure to the city standards and then give it to the city, and then also make some other offsites, but the impact fees are really what keeps the bank going for the CIP list, which is capital improvement project list, which is what enables Hayden to bloom and grow. The future of those who live here, I hope is enhanced by this project overall. If you look at what Riverstone did and how long it's taken, and if you've gone down and enjoyed that, we feel this is probably gonna be another bookend and really give people a place to go. And, sit down and have a coffee or a beer, visit with friends, look at the canyon, look at the hopeful, standing water in the canyon, what we can do, waterfalls, and be a real destination point. So we think it's gonna be an enhancement overall on the north end of what we offer here.
Thank you.
Okay, unless anybody has any further questions, the hearing is now closed, and no questions or comments will be allowed from the public. And so to the commission, do we wish to proceed? Schedule deliberations for another date, one or the other. And again, we're just recommending to city council to approve with conditions, or deny.
I think the city has a lot of conditions that I would like to see, included in the approval.
Okay.
Like what?
Well, just they had a lot of things in there.
The ones that staff already.
The staff
identified.
Okay.
Yeah, that the staff's already reviewed and recommended, I think that they need to be included.
Okay. So yeah, we've got 11, conditions from the city. Any comments in general then, as far as whether this meets the criteria? The standards of approval?
I think it's all the standards of approval.
Okay.
And I would say also that it seems to meet a lot of the things that we've been looking at and talking about in the new comprehensive plan, which is offering a mix of housing and different income levels. Like, I hate to see 300,000 be our entry level now, but that's just the reality of where we live right now, so.
Yeah.
But I think that the developer's done a good job too. I like how he's thought about the surrounding neighbors. Some of the big complaints we get in neighborhoods, like a not that we're in a backyard, which is what I was looking at forests, so we had an extra 30-foot buffer. I think they'd like to address a lot of those problems. I love the fact that the townhomes look at the open space, so they don't feel crowded in, with your neighbor, and deep driveways so people can park their cars and the roads off-site. So I think it's a well thought out plan that meets all the conditions of approval.
Thank you.
Well, and I think I like as I was reading the package here, that the old growth trees and the vegetation that's already there is left can count, which means that we have mature trees in those areas, not just young trees in those areas. And I think the surrounding neighbors will appreciate that as well, not seeing beautiful old growth trees go away.
I don't see anything to argue about. I feel like this meets all the approvals, as long as the conditions are met that the city wants.
Okay.
Looks good.
Well, for my part, I didn't mean to go off on that, it was the thing that we've been through this in a major way.
Sure.
For everything that's been there and what they've offered to improve different structures, I think it's a good thing. Yeah, not everybody's gonna agree with me either, but I think what they've put forward and what they're gonna do with the roads and bike lanes and things like that to improve the area, it's a good situation.
Okay. For me, I think this request does meet the criteria that we use to approve. I also will comment, the things that we hear about from the public, a lot have been addressed. Sidewalks, which was huge a couple weeks ago. Traffic study's been done, it's not guessed. Variety of homes, open spaces, as we know, so many times we get these and they're just cramming, as many homes into a postage stamp. Here we've got green space and parks, on that, a park, a school, a sewer, basin being done, so, I support this request personally with the 11 conditions from the city. I also compliment the city, really thorough package. I liked all the, illustrations showing the bike lanes and the pedestrians, so that everybody here can see that we're not just throwing something together with Band-Aids and chicken wire, but that it's actually the kind of things that we want to have a safe community. So thank you, well done. So with that, does anybody have a proposal or a recommendation?
I'll make a motion to recommend.
Motion, that's the word, thank you. Drawing a blank. My thesaurus is broken.
I will make a motion to recommend approval of PZE 21-0094 Hayden Canyon First Edition, with staff conditions, to city council.
Okay,
I second that.
okay, should we take roll?
Commissioner Anderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Demus,
Yes.
Vice Chair Davis.
Yes.
Commissioner Taylor,
Yes.
and Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
All right, very good. Our next item is reports. We've got a Community Development Director's report, potentially.